Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching the presentation. I'm the CEO of ENECHANGE. I'm going to talk about the FY23 first quarter financial results. The key message of this presentation is driving smoothly towards London Bridge. I'm going to talk about what I want to deliver to you today. But first, as always, we're going to talk about the share price. We are still struggling compared to the level like in 2021, but gradually on the way back to the level where we were and where we should be. And I'm very optimistic about share price, so because the business is fundamentally going really well. So I hope the investor will have the better impression of my company at the end of this presentation. Again, the key message of this presentation is driving smoothly towards London Bridge. The London Bridge is the music song which we use for our TV commercials for our EV charging. We're using like the EV charging, ENECHANGE. So like that's something like that's kind of everywhere in Japan right now. So what implying that is the London Bridge, which is the time our EV charging business is actually outperforming the business at some point. And we haven't reached a point yet, but which is clearly in sight. So we are driving smoothly towards the London Bridge, and maybe we're gonna reach around the later half of this year. Additionally, which is not a surprise to the investors today, is our platform business, which has been struggling due to the Russian war, has been recovering very well and back to almost record high levels. So we are very confident. The EV charging is very good on track, and then platform business is now well recovering. So ENECHANGE is fundamentally recovering and going to outperform very soon. Then lastly, a little surprise to the investors is we start announcing the forward guidance of the next quarter. So we're going to talk about this one a bit later. So this is the executive summary. Please, we're not going to go through this time, so please have a look later. So as always, we start with the financial results, just not talk about numbers. So the progress as of today is 20% against the target of 5.25 billion JPY, which is on track. So the EV charging is the revenue will be skewed later half of this year. So the first quarter and actually second quarter is going to be around this level, which is on track. Please have a look at the sales numbers. We actually almost hitting the record high. So we are very well recovered and recovering. And still recovering on the way, but like we are almost recovered to where we are, even at the best time. And gross profit and gross profit margin is also recovering. Then profit is also recovering, of course. And then although the ordinary profit is still negative due to we're still heavily invested into the EV charging right now, but ordinary profit adjusting, like excluding advertising expenses, is already back to positive. So we are now very well recovering to the level where we were. And then please have a look at expenses. It has been growing, but I think like we are almost kind of hitting some maturity level right now. We've been building the EV charging team from the scratch over a year and a half. And then now we are having a very established team, more than 100 people working for the EV charging business. So we still keep investing in EV charging business, but it's not going to be the delta is not going to be as high as it were last few quarters. So the expense increasing will be slowing down, but the revenue recovering and improving will be even faster for the coming quarters. Therefore, sales and profit recovering and growing will be faster. That's what we are seeing right now. Okay, let's look at the individual businesses. First, platform business. Again, I believe that should be a surprise for the investors. The sales has already recovered to the record high level. It's actually slightly below the record high, but it's actually like 0%. So I can almost say like that we hit the record high. And then another thing that important is actually the recurring revenue increased by 67%. How? Because number of user has been growing, and the recurring revenue is a 2% of the energy bill of the customers. So the energy bill has been risen alongside global energy price crisis. So that's why like energy bill has been risen, then 2% of which has been also risen. So that's why our recurring revenue jumped up by 67%. Therefore, the recurring revenue is nearly 100% profit margin. So that's why our ordinary profit is actually hit the record high. I believe that should be the good surprise to the investors and give the confidence back to our platform business. So ENECHANGE platform business, energy switching, had been very struggling last year due to the Russian-Ukraine war and energy crisis internationally. But like now we managed to rebuild the business and even strengthen our businesses amid the energy crisis. And then now we are not fully recovered. We are not fully recovered, like maybe like 50 to 70% recovery ratio to be fair, but we have already back to the record high level, which means like when the market is continue to be recovering, we have way much upside opportunity for us, for our platform business. Let's look at the KPIs. Again, the user number hit the record high, and then ARPU has been recovering. The user number is actually like the residential number hit the record high. However, the corporate sector has been actually decreased, like due to some withdrawal of the energy companies after the war crisis. So basically, there's a like lag. It's been lagged. So they're now getting positive back. So the number, even the corporate number, should be recovering soon. And the ARPU has been dropped after the Russian-Ukraine war, and then in Q3 and Q4, and then now back to kind of the 70-80% level, and then which is continue to be recovering. So I am not 100% sure, like when we're gonna be back to the highest level where we were, but like we're gonna be around this level to a little bit higher level, maybe for some quarters. What I'm gonna say is like we already hit the bottom, and then like on the way to the recovery. Let me just talk about the business environment updates. So JFIX, the wholesale energy prices in Japan, wholesale electricity prices in Japan has been much lower than the year before, again, which is like the exceptionally high level due to the war. So it's better than last year, but still higher than the before war level. So the market conditions is still on the way of the recovery, not 100%. And actually even worse, on the right side, in Japan, the energy deregulation system has been very much undermined due to a bunch of fraudulent practices by energy companies. So what's happening is all the big major energy companies, which were the regional monopoly, like so rigopolis, before 2016. So now like the market meant to be open, and then all energy company, including new one and the old ones, needs to be fairly competing each other. However, it was not really the case. All the big energy major companies has been consolidating each other, and then violating many kind of cultural or like any regulatory issues. So which has been happening, unfortunately, even after 2016, means like it has been an unfair condition for any new entrants, which very much undermining the philosophy of energy market deregulation. So which is now like the government and the politicians are very much into this problem to address this issue. So the key message is now the government is keenly aware of this issue, and they're officially saying they're gonna strictly address this issue to deliver the fair and open deregulated energy market. So for once, let's think positively. All right, as of today, the energy market was not fair and open, but it's going to be open and fair. More fairer means the better business environment for energy. Energy has been thriving despite the unfair market conditions. But if the market conditions is even be improving in the future, our business opportunity is even more thriving. I'm very thinking this issue in a positive ways. Let's talk about some more like the detailed issues. If you look at ENECHANGE website, we can see like there's a cashback offers. So energy company, if they are willing to acquire more customers, they even provide some additional incentive to the customer to join. So which is usually the form of a cashback campaign, which had been completely stopped since Q3, like again, like after the war. However, now it's gradually coming back. Again, it's not 100%. It's maybe 50 to 70%, but it's now on the way of the recovery. However, the energy companies are a little bit delaying to increase energy bills right now, because in Japan, like it needs to be the major energy company is still partially regulated by the government, and the government needs to approve when the energy company want to raise the bill. Most of the energy company announced to raise the energy bill like this April. However, government didn't approve for that, so they ask energy company to review further and then try to reduce the amount that rises. So therefore, it has been delayed right now. So now, like the latest update is like the energy company might be able to increase energy bill in June, but still not yet fully confirmed. The energy bill needs to be risen to have a healthy energy environment, unfortunately, because although energy market has been stabilized a little bit, but it's still much higher level compared to the pre-war. So the energy cost has been risen significantly. Therefore, energy bill needs to be risen. So if the government doesn't really approve it, the energy company needs to absorb all the losses. Therefore, energy company cannot invest anything for user acquisitions or like if anything else, like in a software development, human resources, anything, which can undermine the energy stability in Japan. So if the energy company will be soonly approved to increase energy bill, that will be another step. And it could be the final step to improve energy business environment to where we were before the war. So again, like let me quickly talk about the market shares. The market share for the corporates has been declining after the war. Although residential sector is not declining, but then it will be influenced by the high energy prices. And it's not actually a little bit flattened, and it probably will come down a little bit. Just corporate sector is more sensitive to the energy prices. So now, like what's happening right now is the energy market is recovering. So the corporate share should be recovering soon. That information is the government starts, so it has some time lag. So the latest data is like December last year. So like roughly half year lagged. So it might be go down maybe like a little bit, but probably at some point of this year, even the corporate sector will be recovering. On the contrary, actually on the right side, that our market share, energy market share, which is actually the most important number, has been improving both corporates and residentials. Why? Because ENECHANGE is still providing the best possible deal for any customers. although like energy market is very severe, so that's why actually the higher demand for the customer to choose the better and cheaper energy tariffs. So ENECHANGE's value proposition to the customer is even higher under the energy crisis. Therefore, ENECHANGE managed to gain our market share. I have been saying to all the investors since the day of the IPO that ENECHANGE market share should be risen at least 10%, or maybe more like 20, 30, 40%. It's anyway like 1%, 2%, 3% is too low anyway. So we are now on the good trend to get, okay, let's say 10% target first. So ENECHANGE is actually again managed to strengthen our business structure during the energy crisis, and then now we are showing the positive number as a result of our rebuild of our businesses. The EV charging business, the sales is nearly zero. So the EV charging is all the revenues coming in the Q3 and Q4. So the Q2 will be almost zero as well. I'm gonna talk about this one more later. On the contrary, all the cost needs to be obviously recorded in every quarter. So our operating profit hit the record in this segment. However, we have managed to build up all the team necessary to deliver EV charging business. Therefore, operating profit not gonna go deeper for the coming quarters. We almost hit the bottom. And then when the revenue is actually coming in, assuming back to the positive level. So first and the second quarter, operating loss is gonna be around this level, but the third and fourth quarter, we're gonna probably back to the positive level. The number of EV charging orders has been exceeding 3,000 charging ports, which were originally aimed to achieve by the end of June this year. So we achieved this target more than 3 months, around 4 months before our original target. And as you can see that on the right side, we now getting like everywhere. We are nationally operating the EV charging business right now. So our next target is a 30,000 charging station by 2027. So to achieve that, we need to install maybe 6,000-7,000 charging ports per year. So that's our next target, which we are on track as well. Let me talk about the business environment for EV charging in Japan. As you can see on the left side, the EV PHV sales has been actually going really well in Japan. Everybody's saying like, are they really coming in Japan? Like, is EVs really coming in Japan or not? Don't worry about that. It has been coming. And then when we enter the market, which is Q4 2021, it was still like 1%-ish level. But now it's already tripled. And then it is still low, only 3%. But it's gonna be easy to go up to 5-10%. So the EV and PHVs are finally coming in Japan. Additionally, as you can see on the right side, the government and the municipalities has been already supporting the installation of the EV chargings. The government subsidy is 17.5 billion JPY this year, which is more than 2.7 times larger budget than the previous year. Additionally, Tokyo government and then like some other major governments in Japan providing the regional subsidies, and the customer can use both. It's actually using like the people living in Tokyo, they can use both national level and Tokyo regional level subsidies. Then actually it can nearly cover 100% of the EV charging installation cost. So which is huge driver for EV charging installations. The last quarter, we announced the partnership with the e-mobility power, which is a company operating the car companies' EV charging cards, like a Nissan charging card, Toyota charging card, and a bunch of like other car companies' official EV charging cards. And then the actual usage integration was launched on April 20th this year. And then what's happening right now is the customer has been benefiting a lot from this integration. The people having car company EV charging card, which account for nearly 80% plus EV drivers in Japan, can use ENECHANGE EV charging within their subscription. So it means they don't need to pay any additional cost to use our EV charging. So it's they kind of feel free to use our charger. So what's happening right now is that usage rate of our EV charging has been dramatically risen thanks to this alliance. How much risen is actually confidential, but it's really jumped up, which were expected. And then, so what's gonna happen after is, so as we installing more charging station, and more customer EV drivers are willing to use our chargers, the charging revenue coming in to us, which is nearly 100% gross profit margin. On top of hardware installation and hardware sales, we are expecting to have a larger portion of recurring revenue, the software charging or EV charging revenue too. Another update, we also launched Zero Plan for condos. We actually launched a Zero Plan for condo last year, but which is only for shared parking. So what I mean by the shared parking is, imagine like you live in a condo and you have own car parking space. But there's like a say shared car parking space where like you have an EV charging station, and then people who lives in the condo can share a charger together. So one charger can be used by, let's say, 3-4 cars. So in that case, we can expect that higher usage rate compared to, let's say, the private car parking, because like one charger per one car. So that's why we were only providing the Zero Plan for a shared parking up to this spring. But now actually we are even providing the Zero Plan for private parking if people lives in Tokyo or some areas where like the regional subsidies are available. So what's happening is, so let's say that people live in Tokyo, let's say 70-80% of the installation cost is subsidized by the government level, national level subsidies. But they used to be like originally, the rest of the cost, the installation cost, needs to be paid by the customer, of course. But what happened right now is like Tokyo government came out to us and, hey, we're gonna pay for that. So please install more charging stations in Tokyo to accelerate the EV charging in Tokyo. All right, sure, that's great. ENECHANGE is not willing to invest the outstanding amount of the charging cost. But if the Tokyo pay for that, of course we're happy to provide for free. So of course, like some criteria, like if the customer lives in Tokyo, eligible to apply all the kind of criteria, yes, like ENECHANGE can provide EV charging for free, and the government pay for all of it. So since we launched the Zero Private Parking Plan for condos, that's a perfect plan for customer, anyone who live in Tokyo, who owns the EV or thinking to buy the EV. So we actually now receiving the tons of application from the customers. All right, let me talk about the data business quickly. So data business, our recurring revenue risen by 8%, and we stay profitable. YOY slightly decreased due to some one-off revenue were recorded last year. So, but still, like the importance is like a recurring revenue increasing, and we remain profitable. I'm trying to manage the expectation of the data business, so the data business is not really something expected to flourish right now, because we are actually rebuilding a business to meet a more further demand response, like EV charging data businesses right now. So this is more than like what actually we anticipated, like, so that's fine. And the KPIs, also number of customers have been actually hit a record high, which is kind of not a surprise to us. So the energy market is really hard and severe still. So energy companies is still cutting off the investment into the software development, but we still acquiring more customers, and ARPU is stabilized around the level we have been established over the last few quarters. So data business is okay, it's actually going well, going better than we originally expected. The last chapter is let's talk about the forecast of this year. So as I initially talked about, the progress ratio is at 20%, which is on track. And then about the profit, we are saying we are making loss first half of this year and then becoming profitable at the later half of this year, which remains. So everything on track. And then the big news is we start the quarterly forward guidance. So we're going to talk about some ideas about the quarter two numbers. The quarter two is for us like April to June. So we are now in middle of May. So we are 50% right now. So the number of the quarter two will be around roughly the same number of the quarter one. Because the platform business is recovering, data business is going to be stable, and then no EV charging revenue in quarter two, nearly zero. Why? Again, the EV charging revenue is coming skewed in quarter three and four. Why? Because government subsidies application has started in April. So we can only start applying government subsidies in April. And then that's the cut line is the end of September. So only 6 months window which we can apply for the subsidies. And then let's say when we apply in April, the government body reviews it, and then once they approve it, we're gonna start installing the charger. And then once we install it, we now finally realize the revenue. So it usually takes 3 months. So even though we applied in April, the revenue will be recorded in July. Then the last application is the end of September, and then that needs to be installed by the December. So all the installation should be happening between July and December. So therefore, all the revenue is coming from July and December. That's quarter three and quarter four for us, for our financial calendar. So, well, again, the importance is that revenue is very, very visible revenue for us. We already got application from a customer, got orders from a customer. We got all the customer signature. We've been working together with the customer to prepare for the government subsidy documentations. And we already submitting many applications after April, and then which has been reviewed by the government right now. So that's just on the process right now. So that's why we are very, very busily forecasting our EV charging revenue will be coming in quarter three and quarter four. And that unfortunately will be probably the pattern of every year, as long as can government keep this structure, which we are talking to the government to more government should more level the application process. We are in talk with it, but as of today, that's only the way we can use the government subsidies. That's the final slide. ENECHANGE is having a very active role advising government about the carbon neutrality and GX, green transformation acceleration. So I'm the vice chair of the World Committee, and then we propose 9 suggestions to achieve green transformation. And 3.1, one of the 9th agenda is additionally electricity policy reforms. As I explained, still energy reforms, energy deregulation has been not fully functioning right now. So we need to examine and we need to improve the energy market situation. Energy deregulation needs to be happen, and then the fair and neutral energy market needs to be provided for the fair competitions and fair deregulations, which will increase energy switching and customers' options. So, which has not been there yet. So we are now having a proactive role to improve the business situation, not only for us, for the customer, and for the country to achieve the green transformation. Thank you for listening my presentation. So the key message again is driving smoothly towards the London Bridge. So we are now clearly seeing a good improvement of our business conditions in Q3 and Q4, driven by our EV charging installations and improved energy switching environments. So we are confidently seeing to get there in less than half a year, and we are driving smoothly and confidently to that point. Again, thank you for listening to my presentation. That's all.